somebody says something in a meeting and the person's kind of afraid to tackle it or address it, right? Whether it's an objection or something else, it changes a bit of the nature of the salesperson thinking, ooh, this could go somewhere to, oh, I don't know about this. What do they do? How do they handle that moment?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think the answer is what you mentioned earlier. You have to just tackle it then, because there's nothing worse than working with a prospect and there's an expectation you're not sure you're going to be able to fulfill on.
Yep.
And you just decide to put it to the side because of the adrenaline of the moment to get the deal, right?
Get the deal, right.
And then you're in the weeds of it and this comes up again and now you're running into a lot of problems. I come from public media, and if you don't listen to public media, you might not know that there are FCC guidelines of what you can say on NPR or PBS, that those same guidelines don't apply to commercial radio television. So I would work with account reps that absolutely hated talking about the copy guidelines in the beginning of their meeting because they felt like it could derail the sale. But the problem was those that didn't would go down the line and would get copy that was not compliant, and they'd end up having to cancel because they didn't know how to deal with that.
Yeah.
So yeah, you just can't be afraid. Everything it's like the rip the Band-Aid off, right? You just tackle it in the moment.
You hit on something so good there too that I think is really important, and that is if all you're focused on is getting the deal, if that's your objective, you're going to be making those kinds of decisions that might get the deal, but they're going to screw up the results that and the after the deal phase. They're going to make it a bad experience for the customer. They're going to put more pressure on the fulfillment team. Like there's misalignment that's going to cause that sale to be a one-off because everything goes wrong after that. And I think in that sales moment, instead of thinking, how do I get the deal? The better mindset is, how do I turn this prospect into a wild success story? How can I make them love that they bought this from me? Because if you're doing that, you're not going to miss those things. You're going to say, hey, I want to make sure when you sign this that it goes smoothly after. We need to get this language right. You need to know this or that. And I think a lot of times, we've all signed those customers that were like, oh, I shouldn't have signed that, right? They're just, it's not a good fit after the sale. And that does nobody any good. Right now, you've got someone with a bad experience under their belt. You're spending time on something that doesn't feel right. So I think you're absolutely right. Shift all that conversation, anything that could kill it before it's closed or kill it after it's closed. Get that out of the way and have those expectations set. I mean, not every dollar is worth it,
Yeah, and that says a lot about you, that you know your value, which we talked about earlier, and you have the confidence to bring these things up with your prospective sponsor up front. That shows the confidence and authority you have in your space, that you can speak to it.
Yes.
And
that you care about their best interest.
Exactly.
Right. It's not just about you making the sale. You don't want the sale if it's not going to be good for them. That's huge credibility.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think sometimes people don't always, value that.